Hi everybody, this is Dr. Seth from Great Works Chiropractic. I'm here to talk to you about statins and why they could potentially eat away your brain. Now, I know a lot of you might be thinking, what does a chiropractor have to do with the brain? I thought you guys just fixed backs. Well, it turns out that the very first adjustment, which I got a lovely picture of right here, was delivered back in 1895 to an individual who had lost his hearing, and lo and behold, his hearing came back. Anyway, through a long process of looking into the science and researching, we realized it didn't really have a lot to do with the spine, but the spine's correct connection to the brain. Here in this office, we have a specialty in functional neurology looking specifically at the brain and how it deals with health outcomes. Anyway, we've been seeing a number of patients who are on statins who have been having memory troubles and a lot of other issues. So anyway, if something is interfering with the ability of the brain to function properly, it's interfering with my ability to make my patients better. I don't like that. So I decided for this first video in quite a long time to just briefly touch on what statins do and how that might affect your brain. To start off with, according to Dr. David Perlmutter, the author of Brain, and have been a lot of other really great information and research. I highly recommend his book. I don't have a copy here, but he mentions that the brain is the home for about 25% of the cholesterol in your body, even though it only composes about 2 to 3% of your total body weight. What does that mean? In short, it means your brain is made of cholesterol. It's other things too, but largely made of cholesterol. So as it's trying to make new connections, form new memories, dig up old ones, function properly in any respect, it needs access to the proper and total amount of cholesterol. So that starts to call into question whether lowering cholesterol is a good thing or not. There are also statistics which I take, I believe, from Dr. Dwayne Graveline's book here called The Dark Side of Statins. He also wrote something called Lipitor Thief of Memory. Both excellent books if you want to learn more about this. Where he talks about how people who have higher cholesterol actually are correlated with having longer lifespans than their peers that don't. So why this whole obsession with lowering cholesterol? It may not be the best thing, but I'll leave that up to you to decide. Let's see, and I also wanted to point out this other book that I'm grabbing a lot of information from, The Paleocardiologist by Dr. Jack Wolfson. Basically talks about the importance of cholesterol to a healthy body, healthy brain, healthy cell membranes, and also how to have a healthy heart and a healthy brain without necessarily artificially lowering the amount of cholesterol in your blood. Which brings me to cholesterol. Cholesterol actually basically refers to, and of course, if I was better with with videos and things like that, I wouldn't be using these cheesy printouts. But forgive me. When you hear about the good and the bad cholesterol, HDL versus LDL, what it's really referring to is delivery trucks. Okay. HDL and LDL are not cholesterol at all. They're actually delivery trucks for cholesterol. Essentially, LDL is a full delivery truck wanting to deliver cholesterol to the cells that need it. HDL is an empty delivery truck that is going back to the liver waiting to be reloaded. So of course, in a healthy physiology, there should be a good balance of HDL and LDL, because if the delivery trucks go out, they come back empty. That's a healthy supply chain. So if they're really all the same molecule, just in a different state of delivery, drop off, or return back to the source, what's the problem with these things? So what happens is, and I believe this is something that I got from Dr. Wolfson also. If your body has got a problem with too much inflammation, or there's too much sugar being consumed, or floating around in your blood. That's sugar in the form of sweetener, like we think of table sugar, sucrose, or high fructose corn syrup, or processed carbohydrates, which get turned into sugar also. So our bread, all these different types of things. It's all sugar. If there is too much sugar floating around your brain in your blood, it'll basically, and of course I'm paraphrasing to try to make it short and understandable. I don't want this video to go on too long so people fall asleep. It basically damages the delivery truck. Okay, when there's too much sugar, too much oxidation going on in your blood, it damages the delivery truck. Look at this van. Do you think you're going to be able to pry a payload out of it? No. I think whatever is in there is stuck in there, right? So this is what happens, and this is how LDL, or the bad cholesterol, gets elevated in the body. The delivery truck gets damaged. It can't deliver the payload, therefore it never gets turned into HDL. It never gets back to the liver and refilled. It's just constantly full because it's not recognizable as something that can be emptied. So the liver pumps out more LDL in order to provide the body with the cholesterol that it desperately needs to function properly. Okay, what is the solution to this? And so of course it's also the inflammation that ultimately causes blockages to build up in the arteries. It's not the presence of cholesterol itself, but the elevated cholesterol tells you that your body is inflamed. Okay, so this is an instance of the way that we deal with it is often through, I don't know if you can see the red word here, but statins. Okay, now I'm going to take a piece of very complicated biochemistry, and I'm going to try to simplify it down for you. Statins work by interrupting the pathway by which your liver manufactures cholesterol. Okay? It's not the cholesterol that you eat, but it's the cholesterol that you make that ends up in your body. Everything gets processed, and nothing ends up in your blood by chance. Okay, so your liver is making this stuff. Okay, so it does it by taking a very common material called acetyl-CoA, running it through this pathway. But now where statins work is they interrupt this pathway right here. So it stops the mevalonate pathway, so that you can no longer make the cholesterol, so it doesn't end up in the blood. Now, if cholesterol was the real problem, that would be okay, because it would eliminate this end product here, right? This is start, this is finish. The problem with this, however, for your brain, for your neurological health, for your muscle health, is that this same pathway has a fork in it. It also goes to create something called CoQ10, coenzyme Q, or CoQ10. Okay. That's not so good, right? If you disrupt the ability to make CoQ10, you're basically putting a ball and chain on your cell's ability to make energy. Without the ability to process oxygen and burn our glucose or fatty acids, through that cycle, we end up with only 2 units of energy as opposed to 34. So if you're basically putting your CoQ10 levels in the toilet, you have very little energy available to you. And this doesn't just relate to fatigue and that kind of energy that we think of, but cells need energy just to maintain and survive. And so we see a lot of the side effects from statins are, in fact, muscle damage, neurological damage, including peripheral neuropathies that are often permanent, as well as what Dr. Graveline ran into. I'll just put up his book again because I highly recommend it. Dr. Graveline, ended up with a phenomenon called transient global amnesia. He basically went through a whole few hour span of his life that he has no recollection of. Didn't know what he was doing, was basically not present. So that's kind of the extreme end of things, but a lot of people end up with having creeping cognitive deficits or or that type of thing, or memory problems, which may or may not be permanent. And certainly, from what I've seen in my practice, the neurological profile of these people is not great, and requires a lot of work. So anyway, let's see. I want to get to that. So the issue is not so much the cholesterol, but it's the damaged delivery trucks. But what we do is, in our current standard of standard care, is to block the production of cholesterol, which also blocks the CoQ10, which causes a lot of havoc in the body. There are definitely other options. I'll point you to Dr. Wolfson, and I'll probably put other posts about other resources for this as well. But essentially, lowering your cholesterol at the expense of your brain, nervous system, and muscles, may be something that you want to dig a little bit deeper into. I can't advise you one way or the other because I'm not your doctor, but I've seen that this is an issue that people don't know. One thing that I do want to share, other than if you're having any problems with this, consult a functional neurologist such as myself to try to get your brain back on track. I've done some digging. Supplementing with CoQ10 can certainly help with statin-related issues, and it's often not recommended on prescription. The general recommendation that I found after a lot of digging is somewhere between 200 and 300 milligrams per day. So that's something that you're going to want to consider. Certainly doing anything in regards to medication, you're going to want to obviously talk to your health practitioner who prescribe those things to you. But bring it up to them. Make sure that they know about this blocking of CoQ10 and possible source for the side effects of statins, and that should improve your outcome a great deal. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about cutting out sugar and reducing inflammation in another video. That's something also we're well versed in and can help you with. But again, this is kind of just my PSA to get people at least on CoQ10 if they're on statins. All right, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.